Ambassador Kaju, is the biggest difference between India and other countries engaging with Afghanistan that we honor the civilizational ties that we have, and it's not just about that 50,000 metric tons of wheat. Apparently, Pakistan made Afghanistan beg for wheat. And what do you make of the China factor in Afghanistan, sir?
I'll say four things very quickly. First, I think what our Afghan friend has said,
Mursal Nurzai. Yes, sir.
Ms. Nurzai has said, has illustrated something that I heard in June of 2002 as ambassador. I was in Jalalabad, and a traffic policeman mistook my car to be that of the Pakistani ambassador. And he shouted out, "Zalim Pakistani." I think that summarized for me the attitude of the Afghan towards the Pakistan. Despite all this refugees, because the refugees were exploited mercilessly in Pakistan, and all the Afghans told me that. That's point number one. Point number two, I think what the Afghans respected was that we didn't take sides in Afghanistan at any time. We said, this is your country, you decide your priorities, you decide your political arrangements. We have no friend, we have no favorites. Third, when it came to a coincidence of interest, there was a coincidence of interest between India and Afghanistan. Fourth, what the Pakistanis have always desired, whatever Mona ji may say, is to have a regime in Kabul which would listen to them on their India policy. That has been the Pakistani ambition, and they thought that once the Taliban are in authority in Kabul, they would do precisely that because of the leverages that the Pakistanis had over some of the Afghan leadership. They failed. They mucked it up. As I've told you, they have the Pakistan. In 2021, I myself was worried, not because in the long term, but because I thought that within 18 to 2 years, the Pakistanis can, along with their Afghan elements which are favorable to them, create problems for us. I was not worried about the long term, and that's been shown.
Yes.
Last point that I'll tell you. All the Taliban elements that I knew or I heard of used to tell me right from 1995 when I started dealing with Afghanistan. They said that, look, don't think that we are Pakistani stooges. We are not. If you think we are mistaken. At that, the 1990s was a very different situation.
Absolutely.
Mullah Omar had a totally different orientation. So that is why in 2017 I had come to the conclusion, and I know, and Sushant is here, I know I can tell him, all the Indian analysts were deriding me. Yes. All. And today I'm very happy that we are engaging them. And my last point is that on Afghan visas,
yes,
we've got to take a more pragmatic view. We paid a very heavy price because many Afghans have been left in the lurch.
Yes.
And I think the time has come when, looking after our security interests, we've got to open up on Afghan visas. And the sooner we do so, the better.
Okay. Sushant Sareen, coming on the aspect where Mona Alam says Indians were criticizing the Taliban, and because we had reason to at that point of time, our appreciation of Taliban was based on IC-814 hijack, the fact that Pakistan was running Taliban. We saw them as an extension, perhaps like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, and it's only, when well-read people, informed people who'd been on ground, like Ambassador Kaju, spread that word that Taliban are not stooges of Pakistan, that a different impression has been created.
Gaurav, Ambassador Kaju and I have had disagreements on this particular issue back then. And the reason was a very simple one. Our past experience in the 90s was that the Pakistanis, while they did not follow everything that the Pakistanis told them. The Taliban regime in Afghanistan was not exactly friendly towards us. They were
Yes.
pretty hostile towards us. IC-814 is just one example. A whole lot of these third-rate Pakistani terror groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed and others were given training camps. Harkatul Mujahideen, all these guys were having training camps inside Afghanistan, right? So our experience with Afghanistan at that point of time or with the Taliban was extremely negative. So our apprehension that the Taliban will be coming into power once again and we could see a repeat of what happened in the 1990s was a very real apprehension. Now, maybe Ambassador Karju had some other instinct, but a lot of us felt that this could backfire on us. Now, over a period of 4 years, almost 4 years, what we have seen is that the Taliban, whatever commitments they have given us, whatever assurances they have given us, they've lived up to those commitments and assurances. So as a result, like I said, we've had a graded response towards our engagement.
Yes.
We first engaged with them, then we opened our mission out there. We have about 10, 12 officials out there who coordinate the welfare activity inside Afghanistan. And, in a slow and steady manner, we've started upscaling the relationship. That does not mean we are recognizing the Taliban regime right now. On that, we will move with the international consensus. But look, once they addressed our apprehensions, then to continue to stay on some hoary principle of moralism, and I have nothing against everything Ms. Noorzai said, and I completely agree with her,
Yes.
that we should, to the extent possible, try and impress upon the Taliban government that they need to start, opening up a little bit, giving basic rights to women, allowing them to work, allowing women to get educated, stuff like that. We can engage with them. We have the good option to be able to engage with them. At the same time, my counsel to the government of India would be that while we are engaging with the Taliban, let us also not forget our old friends who were there before the Taliban came into power. We should keep our lines of communication and our relationship with them alive. And to the extent possible, as Ambassador Karju was saying, that, if we can play a role in national reconciliation, I know it looks virtually impossible right now, but perhaps there could be a time when we could play a role in national reconciliation in Afghanistan. But we'll only be able to play that role if we have bona fides with both sides.